Ladies and gentlemen, it is 8 p.m. My belly is full of steak and ale pie, fat chips, and beans with salt and vinegar as well. My cat is on my lap, and I was expecting to do this way sooner, but I did promise. Here is my 10-year anniversary Q&A video. I gave people months and months to send me more questions, but I've got a fair few. I've got around like 17, 18. So I'm going to answer them as best as I can. I don't have names here because I did promise I keep people's anonymity. So yeah, I might as well just go through them, starting with the first one I have. Do you feel that everyone is on the spectrum? Now, the reason that this person asked me this is because they know I am autistic. I'm on the autism spectrum. And I don't really have a sense of who the people are, but I will see people occasionally do things where I'm just like, you know what, I would do that just regularly. Like, I've noticed a difference between how I, as a neurodivergent person, do things compared to how neurotypical people do things. For example, like, for the life of me, I cannot spread anything on a piece of bread or toast. I'm very, very bad at it. I'll get it, like, right once in a blue moon. But yeah, you know, besides that, I'm not really great at it. But my mother, absolutely flawless with it. However, I'm really great at making a cup of tea. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone that's bad at making a cup of tea. It's a fairly easy thing to do. I did take to guitar fairly easily, even though I don't really play it as much. So, I don't know, there's like some ways that some people could conceivably be on the spectrum. They just probably don't realize it, or they just do things that make me think, oh, they're on there, but it turns out they're not, you know? It's a interesting question to start with. But yeah, possibly. I feel like everyone's a little bit on the spectrum, but I think everyone does things that could be qualified as maybe neurodivergent, even if they are neurotypical people. By the way, I love those phrases, neurotypical and neurodivergent. I much prefer those to autistic and normal. You know, that just sounds way better. I think my cat agrees. But that's probably where I put that particular ballpark question, even though it's a vague ass answer. There you go. The next one is, how has YouTube helped you? I don't really know. I mean, I've been on it for about 10 years now. It took me a couple of years to finally find like a niche worth fitting into, and I don't know, I guess it was just like watching other YouTubers and YouTubers that have inspired me, sort of like inspired me to do my own stuff. For example, backtracking was a big part of that. I mean, just talking to a friend actually was the sort of loose inspiration for backtracking, and then later on, music of the month, and then later on after that, music of the week, which is so much fucking easier to do. As for how it's helped me, I don't know, it's just nice to see like creators I respect, even if those like creators are ever changing because some just simply aren't around anymore, or some I've fallen off of personally. It's nice to see them just doing what they love, and hopefully that's something I can bring across as well if someone does discover my channel. I've only got about 80 subscribers, so I'm aware I'm not even close to the 1000th ranked channel or whatever the hell, I don't know. I would say it's helped me like express myself a little bit. Another thing it's helped me really to do is to learn to edit, because a lot of the channels I watch frequently because their editing is so good. Like some of the ones I watch nowadays, for example, I watch more Smosh than I ever have. Their editing team is on point. No Rolls Bard, for example, you know, their channel I've recently been getting into. I love that, even though there's not a lot of editing, when it does show up, like, you can tell the editors put in the work. Daniel Thrasher, one of my favourite YouTubers right now, Jax Films, he's always put so much care and craft into his editing. Soviet Womble might be one of the biggest inspirations for editing I have. Even though my level of editing is nowhere near those, I like to think I've gotten better since I started doing it properly back in 2020. So yeah, I would say that YouTube has helped me a little bit with that as well. Next is, being in your 30s, have you noticed any difference compared to your 20s? I would say probably. Usually, I've always been a fairly chill guy, but I'm less quick to anger nowadays, unless like there's just something that really pisses me off, which is very rare because, again, I'm not really a guy that goes outside a lot, and, you know, I'm very much like tied to the comfort of my own house, and I've got this like ever-calming presence. He's not a therapy cat, but goddamn does he help me feel better. I would say, yeah, I don't know, I'm just a bit more of a chill, sort of water off a duck's back kind of guy. When I was younger, I used to be a lot more indignant about things. I used to be a lot more stubborn. I like to think I've matured in that sense as well. I like to think as well that I'm less likely to joke at inappropriate times, even though I use it as a defense mechanism sometimes whenever I hear bad news. And, you know, some people get it, some people don't. Sorry, in the camera mirror, it looked like, the camera screen, it looked like his nose was bleeding a bit. It's not. He doesn't have a nosebleed. He's never had one, I don't think. Yeah, like, sometimes I'll use humour as, like, a defense thing, But I'm using that less and less, and when the situation calls for it, I am more ready to be more serious, you know? So I would say that's a way I've changed a little bit as I've gotten older, maybe. Next is, are you currently in a kiln? Yes, and I refuse to get out of the kiln. You cannot make me get out of the kiln. There's a lovely Ossobuco and the DVD box set of The Crown in here, so yeah, I'm not getting out of the kiln. Although here I should, it's awfully hot in here. Next is, why do you do what you do and what does it mean to you? I don't really know how to phrase that. I mean, I kind of answered it when I answered the how's YouTube help me question, but I guess in a more broad strokes term, I would say I do what I do because, like, on the off chance that someone does discover my stuff and they watch it, they might think to themselves, oh, that fight he's reviewing looks really good, I might go check that out myself. Or, oh, you know, this top 10 list he made is very well put together, I might watch some of those NXT TakeOver matches. Check out that list, by the way, I'm awfully proud of it. You know, and things like this game he reviewed when I used to do game reviews, or this game he let's play, that looks fun, I should get it while I can. Or, you know, this band he's talking about, I've never heard of them, but they're really good, and he's been talking about them, like, before, or, like, oh, there's this new act that he's just discovered, but I've liked, it's nice to hear him talking about it. Like, I hope to elicit that response from someone someday. It's, you know, again, I'm not the biggest channel on YouTube by any stretch of anyone's imagination, but I like to hope that one day that's something I can spark in a good comment section. Next is, how did you become a cool dude supreme? Practice and practice. That's basically it. Next question is, how has this whole review process changed your music taste? I would say if you asked me this question back in like 2017, 2018, I would not have said what I'm about to say, but like, I don't know, since 2019 I've been adding like more elements that I wouldn't usually add. Like, I never used to be a huge fan of deathcore, but I've added quite a few deathcore albums in my top 30 since I started doing those in 2019. Same for more rap and hip-hop, more pop, even more weird and experimental stuff. Whether not a great deal of it makes it into my lists, but, you know, I always find it, like, oddly fulfilling when I do put something like that in there. Like, for example, in 2020, I had only just heard of Run the Jewels, and their, you know, their fourth album obviously came around that time. It was one of my top 10 albums of 2020. I really liked it, and if that were, like, 2018, 2017 Jake, he would never have given that the light of day. So I would say, yeah, like, my taste in music might have matured a little bit. There's a lot of artists I've discovered now thanks to friends, or just through, like, YouTube ads and stuff. And I think, like, reviewing them, much like with what I do when I do them in videos, it might make people go, ooh, Mothica, she sounds like a good artist, I might check her out, and you should, she's fucking great. So, yeah, again, it's the conversation of that I really like to have, and I would say that's a big part of why my tastes have changed and gotten a bit more mature over the last half decade or so. Next is, what was your favourite genre before reviewing it, and has it changed from it? I think this means favourite genre of music, and I would say my favourite was pop punk for a time. However, that's because I was a huge pop punk kid. Like, they were like one of my first gateway sort of rock genres. I used to listen to pop punk exclusively. I would listen to the odd bit of alternative rock and grunge, but it was mostly pop punk. I would not go near the heavy stuff for a long, long time. But thing is, I think, like, yeah, I'm a lot more used to heavy stuff, and my favourite genre to go over now is hardcore punk. Like, I love hardcore punk and metalcore. I still love pop punk dearly with all my heart, but it can take a while for it to be, like, properly, like, impressive these days, because a lot of it can feel quite cookie cutter, but that's kind of the charm of it, because, you know, pop punk is not meant to be overly complicated unless a band tries to do it and does it well, like Spanish Love Songs did with Brave Faces Everyone. Fantastic album, go listen to it when you can. Yeah, I would say that that has changed from pop punk to hardcore punk, but I still love pop punk. But yeah, hardcore punk is like my more like accepted genre, is the one that makes me happy, especially if it's, well, any form of music that comes from Australia. Basically, it could be pop punk, hardcore punk, metalcore, funk, punk, jazz, soul, whatever the hell, rap even. Australia just fucking gets it right each time, and I wish I knew how. I wish I knew how they got the formula, but yeah, I would say it's changed quite a bit. Next is, if you could, would you like to make music more professionally or be a part of the process in some way? If I could, if my anxiety and my general, like, autism and just not being comfortable around people I don't know weren't a problem, I would absolutely love to do more music stuff. I've been thinking for, like, the past couple of years I want to do, like, a sort of guitar riff thing for bands I like. I want to do vocal covers maybe if I ever get good at singing. I might even attempt a couple of solos. I don't think I would ever be the kind of person to form a band together, but I would like to do something more involved with music. The weird thing is, though, music is not even the community I'm the most heavily involved with on YouTube. I just watch, like, miscellaneous stuff that I quite enjoy. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I watched Narwhal's Bard. I was never a big board gaming fan. in the first place. Like, I do like the occasional board game, but I haven't played any in like a decade or so. But watching all those bars just made me think, man, I kind of want to get into that, you know. And I hope that I like to think that's part of how it happened when I started watching more like music stuff on YouTube and music reviews and things like that. And obviously, when I did my first vocal cover a few years ago, which was not the worst thing I've done, honestly. You know, I thought I did all right. But yeah, I would like to do more music stuff. Maybe if I learned, I would like to produce stuff. I don't know. It would be nice. Next is, you do videos on gaming, music, and the UFC. What's your favourite topic and why? I think a lot of people are expecting me to say music, and I do love covering music. But I think, because it's my first love, I would have to go with gaming. I think gaming is the one thing that has always held a place in my heart. Even if a game is bad, it's something I'll always like. You know, for example, this year alone, I've gone through a fair few couple of games. A fair few couple, yeah, that's a phrase. But the game I was not expecting to love as much as I do was Hi-Fi Rush. I fucking adore that game, and it's one of my like favorite games probably ever now, even though it's only been out a few months, because it just reminds me of how fun gaming can be. And I'm aware I don't do full game reviews anymore. If you want my game reviews, just watch Let's Play. Well, specifically, skip to the finale part of Let's Play and skip to the credits, because I do give games scores around that time. But yeah, I would have to say gaming's my favourite thing to cover. Music is definitely second, and the UFC is third, because if I was still covering full UFC cards, I think I'd go mental first of all. I'm so glad I'm only doing Fight of the Nights these days. But yeah, I would say like that's the order it goes in. So because the question was asked specifically in the order of gaming, music, and UFC, and asking what my favourite was, so that's the order as well, personally. Gaming first, music second, UFC third. Next is, what video game character should be in the next Super Smash Bros. Installment? I do not have a Nintendo console, Switch, or anything like that, although goddamn I missed my GameCube. That was a good console, I don't care what people say. So I don't play Super Smash Bros., but if I had to pick one, I would say, because Kazuya Mishima's in one, I would like to see Jin Kazama in there, maybe King, you know? It'd be nice to get some fighting game characters in there. We've got Sonic in there, I think. It would be nice to have, like, Shadow, maybe. Maybe Knuckles, that would be cool. Maybe Amy. Amy would have, like, some good stuff with her hammer. I would like to see that happen. I was gonna make a joke about Fire Emblem characters, but that's been done to death. I don't even play Fire Emblem, so I can't really say if I dislike it or not. Although I did recently watch a Let's Play by Max Few Trades with a friend of his named Nightstar. They did a really fun Fire Emblem Let's Play, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, around that area, I guess. I don't know. I don't really play it, so I don't really care. But, you know, if I had to pick maybe someone else from Tekken, maybe someone else from Street Fighter, maybe someone from Sonic, I don't know. Maybe someone from Pokemon. Sceptile. Oh yeah. No, that's the one, Sceptile. I love Sceptile, my favourite Pokemon. It's a game you want to LP but don't feel ready for yet. So I've got this one planned, and I did get the game bought for me recently, which is Spiritfarer. That was one of my first test Let's Plays aside from Black and Remnant from the Ashes. Spiritfarer was one of the first ones I did, and I do have it planned as a 10th Let's Play, because every 10th Let's Play I do is going to be a game that I consider very important to me. But it's a very sad game, at times a very emotional one, and I haven't played it since I finished the last add-on thing that they did for the farewell stuff, right? Which is the edition I have, which is good, because I want to get in as much as possible, but I know it's going to be a long journey, because it took me a long time to complete the game. So I want to go in with a bit more research done. Even though I have completed the game as fully as I can, there is a lot of stuff I don't remember because it's been a while since I played it. But I would absolutely love to play that one day. Another one I'd like to play, besides those, I can't really think. That's the one for me, Spiritfarer so far. If I can think of another one, I'll let you know. But yeah, so far it's looking like Spiritfarer. Next is, why did you choose to be a lion? Now, I'm in a fair few servers where I will pretend to be a sort of lion as a joke. Because I like lions a lot, is the basic reason. They're my favourite, the big cats, the big fluffy lads. I just love them. I like all big cats, personally. If I could pet a lion without the risk of getting my hand chomped off, I would do it. It's just because I find lions to be extremely awesome, handsome animals, handsome lads. That's what they is. So, yeah, that's basically the reason I don't really have another one for it. It's just fun, and I like lions a lot. Next is, what was your inspiration to make YouTube videos? This is kind of something I glossed over in an earlier question, but my main inspirations, in terms of channel, I could make a top 10 list, but the number one that's always been like the one I go back to, always the one YouTuber I will refer to anyone who needs to see what a true YouTuber is capable of. It's always Nigahiga. He was one of the first OG YouTubers I got into back in the mid 2000s, when my brother showed me the video of, I think it was How to Be Gangster or How to Be a Ninja. It was one of the two. I think it was How to Be Gangster specifically. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. I didn't watch all of Nigahiga stuff after that time because around the time I was still in secondary school, I still had a lot of stuff to work on. But since 2011, I would say 2010, 2011, I have not missed a single Nigahiga video. And it's a shame he stopped because of the whole pandemic thing and also the whole Paco business. Fuck Paco, seriously. But yeah, he's the one I refer to the most. I think he's just able to... The fact that he had so much fame and he was such a popular YouTuber, he was one of the first ones to, I think, hit 10 million subscribers that I cared about. You know, like, the YouTube channel's not like caring about subscribers, although I do care about his fans because Nigahiga fans are often cool people. You know, it's nice to have someone who's got a great fan base, to have that many fans, and to have made as much as he had in his life, and to have almost no ego about it, and to just be so humble. I wish I could have that sense of maturity. He's only like 2 years older than me as well, so yeah, it's kind of awesome, kind of inspiring to see like someone like that is capable of being like that when it comes to YouTube, because you don't get that a lot with YouTubers. I would say I have many inspirations. He's the one for me, though. I recommend you go check out his stuff, especially his video How to Get Views on YouTube. It is a fucking phenomenal takedown of the YouTube system, but just done in a very light-hearted song. I really enjoy it. Next is, what would be your favourite song and or band? So, this is tricky, because my favourite song is not by my favourite band, however, it's by one of my favourite bands. I would say my favourite song because it always makes me cry, no matter how many times I hear a specific part. It always makes me cry. It is Aftermath by The Ghost Inside. So, for those who don't know the story, in late 2015, while promoting their previous album, Day of Youth, which I didn't like as much as most people, hot take, they were in a nasty crash with an 18-wheeler. The band members all survived, and it took them 4.5 years to be fully ready. They put this song out in April of 2020. We were right in the heart of the pandemic at the time, and the first time I heard it, and every time I've listened to it since then, it has made me shed a fucking tear. Or at least come close. It makes me choked up, but like in that triumphant way. Like when you were watching Spider-Verse and you hear What's Up Danger kick in for the first time when Miles is playing around with his powers. Like that level of like, you fucking got this, mate. Like that is the thing I feel whenever I listen to Aftermath by The Ghost Inside. I will say that The Ghost Inside is one of my top 5 bands of all time. My favourite band is pretty obviously While She Sleeps. I'm not wearing my While She Sleeps t-shirt because I think it's either in the cupboard or in the washing, which I did earlier today, so not going to wear it because it's still wet. But yeah, While She Sleeps are my favourite band. I've always loved, like, they're sort of similar to The Ghost Inside in a way, basically an English equivalent to The Ghost Inside, who are from LA. I've always liked their more like melodious sense of metalcore, hardcore, punky stuff, and the fact that they're able to bring like huge breakdowns with massive single and choruses and pack in so much emotion and fucking great lyricism and great interplay between the band members. Just, yeah, I love everything about While She Sleeps, and they have, again, an absolutely phenomenal fan base. I'm proud to be part of it, personally. I mean, they're the first band I willingly bought merch of, you know, because I've got the shirt and I've got my poster on my office door. So, yeah, I would say my favourite band, While She Sleeps. Favourite song is The Ghost Inside. However, if you want my favourite While She Sleeps song, there's a lot of candidates, but I would have to go with Silence Speaks. Even though it's got Arlie Sykes on it, it's still a brilliant song. Although, God, they dropped some bangers. Call of the Void is fantastic. You're All You Need. Dead Behind the Eyes. Death Toll. The title track of any title track they've done, essentially. Almost any song they've done. Oh, God. I love them. I love While She Sleeps so much. Just go listen to them. They're great. Next is, I think, sort of like the last one. But they're sort of the same thing. So, the first is what made you want to start doing WWE 2K live streams. The other is what made you want to start an eFed. So, they're sort of like the same thing. But the main reason is essentially because when I was first invited to CWL, which was the first eFed I was ever part of, I was just like so taken in by it. The community was always very positive and welcoming. Yeah, there was just a lot of fun as well, you know, even if the early seasons were a bit weird and Wild West with how they could be. That's even how Kirby himself would describe it. Hello. Kirby is was the head honcho of CWL before it closed its stores about a year ago. That was one of the biggest inspirations, and then, like, around that time, I had other friends who were starting their own promotions, like my friend Fen has the Premier Network, and my friend Grace has like 3 feds he's running around the same time. He's got NIEW and Blacklist and Wildfire Pro. Yeah, and obviously a good friend of mine named Steve, he's got Super Pro and like Ring Classic and all these shows that come with that as well. So yeah, it was just like mostly a snowball effect because it started with CWL, then all my friends started getting one, and I was like, oh, I should get one, and just completely not get it right for the first couple of seasons. So that's what happened, and now I've got what I consider a very just fun time. To be honest, I used to take it a lot more seriously, but the past few seasons have just been me like goofing off. I don't even play the Gavin Grayson commentator character anymore. I'm just me, and I much prefer just being me when it comes to it. So yeah, that was my that was basically my inspiration for that. Just the big snowball effects, and I got rolled up the snowball. There you go. And that's it. Not as many questions as I was expecting, but hey, we're almost clocking in at 24 minutes, so I think that's a long enough video. 10 years since I started my YouTube channel now, roughly around my 21st birthday. Well, that's when it was. I'm 31 now. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I hope I answered these questions satisfactorily. This was quite fun to do, honestly. Like, there was no script at all. You know, you'll see from some edits that a lot of this shit just came off the top of my head. I really enjoyed this one. The next thing I'll see you for, though, will be on Thursday, Music of the Week episode, and then Friday, the return show for PVW vs AVW. That's going to be a lot of fun, and sadly my cat was on my lap the whole time, but it was in the video the whole time. Well, mostly. So, yeah, bonus, as far as I'm concerned. I'll see you on Thursday, and if you did take the time to watch all my ramblings throughout the questions, as long as it took me to answer them, thank you, I very much appreciate it. And as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye.